Good evening, everyone. I'm Patty DeBoer, Superintendent in Mashpee. Welcome to a Zoom question and answer session for parents of students in grades 4, 5, 6. So you're in the right Zoom if you fit that descriptor right there. We have Principal O'Brien here with us. We have Stacy Shackle, our district COVID-19 health coordinator. We have Dr. Parkinson, our school physician. And then we have Assistant Superintendent Hanscom, Special Education Director Curley, and our Instructional Technology Director Susie Brooks. So we are all here to hopefully answer any questions that you might have related to academics or the medical side of the current situation that we're in. We are going to ask you to type your questions into the chat, and those will go directly to Dr. Hanscom, and then she will read every question, and then we will do our best collectively to provide answers for you. And I think that's it for that part of it. I'm just going to give a little bit of a brief overview. You know that we are transitioning students to full-time in-person learning. And for our 4th and 5th graders, that's going to happen on April 5th. And for our 6th graders, that happens April 12th. And based on the input from all of our parents at the Quashnet School, we will only have 16 remote learners in the grades 4 through 6. So we have a very, very high percentage of students who are returning to our in-person learning, which makes us all very, very happy. So part of the piece that needed to be put in place in order for that to happen is the distancing of our desks in classrooms. And so instead of the 6-foot distancing that we have had for hybrid up to this point, we will go to 3-foot distancing, which according to the CDC and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, which we will refer to as DESE, the guidelines have given us that permission to do that. And that's based on some studies that they did. And actually one of the studies, or several, were done in the Massachusetts schools, where some kept their desks at the 3-foot range versus the 6-foot, and they did not see an increase in COVID transmission among the students. So that is a difference. All the desks will be facing the same direction in the classrooms. We are currently repopulating the classrooms with the desks that are required based on the enrollment in each homeroom. So Mary Kate has that information, and that's what we're using to repopulate and remark where all the desks should be. So there'll be markings that help keep us in order there. In these classrooms, students are going to have to wear their masks all the time, but the teachers are going to take their students to have mask breaks in other locations. So obviously on a day like today, it's a beautiful outside day to do that. They have to be 6 feet apart when they take a mask break. We also have the canopy on the tent now. And then if it wasn't great weather, there'll be different times that they could access the cafeteria or the gymnasium and space themselves apart. I believe Mary Kate has sort of created some sort of a schedule that teachers can opt into to make sure they have enough spaces on bad weather days. The snacks that may have happened in the classrooms up to this point will also not be able to take place in the classrooms because of that 3-foot distancing, and we need to keep our kids masked. So those will also be handled in locations outside of the classroom, but they will still take place. One of the things that the shift, we had to look at busing in order to make this happen as well. And about a month ago, I think, is when they again changed guidelines for the busing, but we did not change in Mashpee. But currently, and what we are going to be adhering to starting April 5th is 2 students per seat. And when students get on the bus will fill from the first student picked up, goes to the back, and then you fill the bus forward. They will still be expected to hand sanitize when they get on the bus. They will still be expected to wear their masks, and we will keep the windows cracked. They don't have to be cracked that much, like you've seen them in the wintertime, and sometimes the lip of the window makes it look like they're not open. But now that it's getting nice, they can be much more widely open. We are also making sure every elementary student has a bus seat assigned to them. So even if for some reason you've always driven your child, or you continue to plan to do so, know that there will be a seat with your child, assigned to it. We will be making seating plans for the buses prior to April 5th. The bus company is currently finalizing the revised or updated bus routes, and we hope to share those out with families either later this week or first part of next week. I think for the elementary, we'll probably hit our target of Friday because I think they're pretty well done. Lunches are not going to change. There's still going to be 6 feet distancing in both the cafeteria and the gym, which are used for lunch spaces at Quashnet. They will all still face the same direction. Obviously, we had to add more seating for the larger numbers of students who will be in there, but so basically the entire gym will be used for lunch as well as the entire caf, where right now we were only using half the gym. That first week back, so just as a reminder too, kids will stay hybrid until their grade level makes the shift. So grades 4 and 5 are hybrid up until April 5th. Grade 6 remains hybrid until April 12th. So that will continue. But the first week back at school, we are going to really focus on as if it were the first week of a school year and really try to acclimate all the students to being back in school, being around more peers than they're used to, readjusting to sort of what the expectations are within, movement in the building, in the classroom. I think I said we're not going to be using lockers, so students will still be able to keep their materials with them. Let's see what else I was going to talk about. Desk masks, no lockers, lunches, buses. No. One thing I just want to focus on for those who are choosing to be 100% remote, the learning model is different than it's been up to this point. In the hybrid model, there was much more synchronous instruction taking place throughout a school day. But with most of our students being back in the building, we are not going to be able to accommodate that for our remote learners. So a remote learner can expect a maximum of 45 minutes a day of that synchronous face-to-face time with a teacher. There'll be times in the day that a teacher may make arrangements to touch base or provide extra supports for a remote learner, but the teacher's Google Classroom or landing page and playlist will be designed in such a way that the remote learner is able to sort of find success, but they will be more independent learners than they might be used to. So I think we need to make sure our 100% remote families really understand that is quite a difference from what has been up to this point. We're really encouraging all students to be in-person learners, but we realize different families have different reasons for choosing to remain remote. We have encouraged families to start sending their children in during the last couple of weeks and leading up until April 5th, because it is easier to get used to the building before everybody is all together, where we have not been used to that as students and staff as well. So I am going to stop talking now. I don't know if I missed anything, but we'll answer some questions.
All right, just a reminder, if you came in after I put it in the chat, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat. It'll come right to me. It's not a public chat. And then I'll ask it, and I won't say who asked it. So you can put anything you want in there. Mrs. O'Brien, before I get into questions, I see your hand and I see you using the Falcon 5 and raising your hand to get my attention. Fabulous job. You may go next.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate all that information, Superintendent DeBoer. I just wanted to add that we are making a couple changes to the recess program that we've had. Up until this point with the hybrid, we've had half of the number of the students in the building. So we have been overlapping recesses. So they've been on a smaller section of the playground area within a small cohort. Those small cohorts, the kids know them as their lunch groups, are not changing. However, we are not going to have them overlap any longer. So with more students out at recess, they will be able to use the whole recess area and have a choice of that big playground, little playground, tennis courts, basketball court, and we'll be using all, of course, the safety protocols in place, the field, but they will have a larger area in order to play and more choice, which will feel a little bit more like a traditional year. So I think the kids are going to be very excited about that. So I just wanted to bring that in. And like the lunchroom will certainly hold more students, but thank you.
I know that recess thing is very important to at least one person in my household. So that is exciting. Okay, so there are some questions that I'll start to go through, but just a reminder, please add any of your own into the chat. So the first question is, if I signed my child up to be remote, can I change my mind and have them come in person?
So the answer is yes, you may change your mind and have them come in person, but there is a wait time in order to actually have that finished and have your child in the building. So it's easy to go from being an in-person. So if your child starts as an in-person learner and several weeks in, for whatever reason, your family decides it's not a good fit, or there needs to be a remote switch, that can happen quickly, because obviously you just switch to being remote. But we have to make plans if your child is going to return to school. So according to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, families should expect a 4 to 6 week wait time. We're hoping that we would be able to shorten that a little bit, but you just need to know that that is there, and that is something that you need to know about if it informs your decision in any way. And also, if you made your decision last week and you chose one way or the other, obviously it's a lot easier, and we're hopeful that our 16 remote students will opt in. But just make sure you communicate well to Principal O'Brien if there's some sort of a change that we need to be aware of, because we are doing a lot of planning right now based on those decisions.
Okay, so while there was more flexibility before, we're really getting to a point with the rest of this school year that there's not really a ton of wiggle room. So Mrs. DeBoer is nicer than I am, but I will be just reiterate that it will not be as easy and in and out as it has been. Okay, if my child has been fully remote, but they're coming back, what does he or she need to bring to school each day?
Go ahead, Mary Kate.
So that is not going to change. They still need to bring, the students 4th, 5th, or 6th, they need to bring their charged Chromebook with them to school every day. They will be bringing it home with them as well. They also need their blue bag with materials. And we're not going to change that protocol, because there is a possibility, if a student is identified as a close contact or they are not feeling well, whatever that may be, they're going to need their materials with them. So it is really important that we do not change that protocol, that we keep that in place. They have their backpack, they have their blue bags, and they have that Chromebook that comes back and forth. Just please be sure to have it charged every day when they come in. That's a teacher's friend. Thank you.
Great. Now that they will be 3 feet apart, if someone in the class gets COVID, does that mean the whole class will need to quarantine?
So we are still contact tracing the same way we do now. So if you are closer than 6 feet for 15 minutes or more to an individual who tests positive for COVID-19, you would be identified as a close contact. We would contact trace again, just like we have been, quarantine, just like we have been. Nothing has really changed, although we do anticipate that individuals will be obviously more likely closer than 6 feet than we are now being 6 feet. So yes, we will be doing more contact tracing in the event that there's a positive case. But again, we always need that positive case to trigger contact tracing. So we're hoping that we won't have that as much.
And we're also, we don't, or are hopeful that if a student tests positive in one class, it doesn't necessarily take out the entire class. We look at the seating plan. There's a lot of variables, just like Stacy does now with every single situation. We look at all the details we can gather.
Sorry, I just clicked on someone asked to unmute, and I didn't actually mean for you to unmute. So FYI, if you're that person, you may ignore that. Okay, what resources will be available to support the emotional well-being of both students and teachers who may be experiencing anxiety about coming back full-time?
I'll let Mary Kate go.
Well, we are very, very fortunate at Quashnet School, and I think in our whole district, to have an incredible team of counselors. Our 3 counselors at Quashnet, Mr. Withington, Mrs. Morrison, and Ms. Majacomo, are just outstanding and are there for all of our students, are also there for the staff. I think one of the things we have worked really hard this year is to build a network of trust. And we all know that we are in this together as well. And I think having Nurse Terry in the building as well, she's been able to monitor and help. I was in the nurse's office today visiting with Nurse Terry just to check on a couple things. And a student came in and just needed a couple minutes and to get her breath. And Nurse Terry was like right on it and was able to support that student. We were able to get them back to class feeling much better. But we are aware that there are stressors out there. There are anxieties. And, you know, we try to reassure the kids that we are understanding, we're all in this together, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure we have a safe school and a safe environment. So I am really proud of our team, and I'm very confident in their abilities to support our students and our staff.
And I would add, oh, sorry.
No, I was going to ask you to add some of the training or the background that we've given to teachers in terms of their supporting students who are, you know, presenting as anxiety ridden or stressed.
Absolutely. I think our focus more than anything this year, it's we recently had a training where education is not transactional, just about assignments, but it is relational. And we really want to emphasize the relationship with students and supporting them social emotionally. It takes time, but we value that relationship, and that's got to be our focus right now. And as superintendent shared, the first week back, it really is going to be like the first week of school. It's going to be working on building those classroom teams, getting the classroom kids together so they know that they are all together in that classroom community and working to support one another.
So I was going to ask Mrs. DeBoer for you to also maybe discuss, because the staff, their anxiety, they've all been back, but now having everybody back at once, a lot of the resources Mary Kate, Mrs. O'Brien talked about will be supportive for them as well. But Mrs. DeBoer, do you want to talk about the half days? Because I feel like that would be a good time.
Yeah, so as you know, from Friday's communication, the school committee did approve an additional 3 half days to our school calendar. So this Friday, the 26th of March, is a half day. The following Friday, April 2nd, is a half day for students. And then on April 16th, which is the Friday before our April vacation, that is the 3rd half day that has been added. And that was, we made that decision to allow teachers some time to sort of get themselves reacclimated to. It's not going to be quite the traditional teaching experience of the pre-COVID time, but they need to sort of adjust their instructional plans for given the fact that almost all of their students will be in front of them once again. And so that was one way to alleviate a little bit of stress for them, is to give them some of that time. In the classrooms, like I said, all the students are 3 feet apart and they are all facing the same direction. There is a 6-foot teaching zone in every classroom that the teacher is sort of their area. Teachers are still going to provide assistance to students, you know, close up, but they are also going to be, you know, aware of that 15 minutes throughout the entire day of being within a student's 6-foot bubble. So I think, you know, on both sides or in every member of our school community, we are all experiencing a gamut of emotions, and just really making sure that we value everybody's feelings and emotions, and putting that first is really important to me. The academics, we can always catch kids up. There's a lot of creative ways to do that, but our children can't learn until they're in a good place with their social emotional well-being. So that's a priority. And that's true with teachers too.
Yeah, and I would add, I think a lot of teachers were able to get their first shot of the vaccine last Friday through the partnership with the Mashpee-Wampanoag Tribal Health Services Center. And I think that also has alleviated, or will alleviate, some anxiety for teachers as well as they get the second dose and beyond. So, okay, I also have a 3rd grader. Is my 3rd grader going to be 3 feet as well, or just 4th through 6th?
So luckily, we do not have to make any changes to our third grade classes. So they will maintain that 6-foot distance within the classroom. It is really just the fact that we had hybrid programming in grades 4, 5, and 6. So now it's bringing back twice the amount of students. So those classrooms will be 3 to 4 feet distance, but third grade, 6 feet.
And if you have children at the Coombs School, nothing changes at the Coombs School either. Those desks and classrooms are staying exactly the same, all the practices in place.
You may have already hit on this, but maybe some new folks came in. I think it's worth asking again. If I choose fully remote for my child, how much time can I expect him to see his teacher every day?
The maximum will be 45 minutes in a day. It's intended that they would check in at the beginning of each content area. So math, ELA, or science, social studies, that's where that time comes in.
All right, Stacy, I'm going to combine 3 questions together, but they're all for you. They're all about pool testing, which is your favorite topic. So the first question is, if I didn't sign my child up, let me ask the 2 together and then you can answer. If I didn't sign my child up to participate, can I still do that? And if my daughter was COVID positive in early March, can she participate in pool testing?
Great question. So pool testing is open and open enrollment. So if you have not signed your child up to participate, you may still do so. Our information is on the website, or you can email me directly and I'll send you the link and answer any questions you may have. And it is open enrollment. So even if you need a little more time or want to wait, if your child is hybrid until they're fully in, that is fine too. But it is an ongoing, thank you. My email's in the chat now. Open enrollment. However, if your child has tested positive, the company we are using has advised us to not accept participants if they have had COVID in the last 180 days. So again, it's an individual. We do ask that question when you sign on the form and sign up. The question is in there for if your child's been positive. So that is specified. If you have questions, though, I'd gladly discuss that with you further.
And can I just add, for families who are on here, we continue to encourage all of our families to consider having their children participate in the pool testing. That is one way. We don't expect our pools to spike as a positive necessarily, but I think it would go a long way for students as well as staff to just know that we really are, a safe group. We're doing all we can from the teaching perspective or from the staff perspective, as well as the family perspective, to make those good choices and to try to keep our school community healthy. And I think this is just an added layer that as we bring everybody back and everybody's sitting 3 feet apart, that might be a little way to relieve some of the anxiety that some families might feel.
Okay, and then next pool testing question, where'd it go? Oh, if my child is participating in pool testing, does she get tested every day?
So it is weekly pool testing on Mondays. So it's once a week for the pool testing. The results we anticipate back within 48 hours. And then if the pool is negative, no further action is needed. If it is a positive pool, then we do the follow-up testing the next school day that people are in.
And this is our first week doing it, right, Stace?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I am waiting.
I know, I was like 48 hours. We haven't hit it yet, huh?
Not yet.
All right. Let me see. If a student was previously parent pick up and drop off, but now would like to start using the bus, what steps do parents need to take?
So all students will be assigned a seat on the bus. For 4th and 5th graders, it would start on April 5th. And for the 6th graders, they will be riding those buses or be able to ride the buses on the 12th. We don't have a date yet when those are coming out, the new bus routes and times, but it should be very soon.
Yes, and I in speaking with our bus company and our Director of Finance, I believe the elementary runs are done. So similar to what we do at the beginning of every school year, we will publish those or email them, and you'll look to find, where your child's stop would be. And as long as they're there, they are going to get on the bus, and hopefully we have our seating plans done correctly based on bus routes, and your child will be good to go.
Well,
And-
we're only pros at doing those seating charts now, so we will have them beautifully.
And if a child is going to be dropped off and picked up, we're not going to change the process that's currently in place. It will still be a live drop off and a live pickup as we have been doing all year long.
With those orange signs for pickup, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. If we travel to Florida for April vacation, do my children need to get tested before they can return to school?
So we are strongly encouraging, I know the new travel advisory came out, that be still followed. If you've looked at the advisory, there is, if your child's under 10, they do not need to follow that with the new guidance that came out, but we strongly encourage that they do, especially if parents have not tested for being fully vaccinated. The more information we have and know that people are safe, there's the 72 hours prior to return test that's acceptable, or quarantining until you come back and have a test. But we really do need to ensure that everybody is safe.
And I know a
Oh,
lot,
sorry.
sorry. A lot of our staff or students who are getting, a PCR test now, except for one place, I believe, they're coming back extremely fast, same day with, very fast. So it would be something that if we're trying to keep our school community safe. We're not, though, however, going to dictate what a family's decisions are. But keep in mind that if it's just sort of a quick, or maybe you come back on a Sunday, keeping your child out on a Monday and getting that quick test would probably be something that would ease our minds, although it is not going to be a requirement. Right, Stace?
It's all based on age, so yes.
Yeah, age. Yeah.
So, and Stacy and Terry, they would give the results of their any PCR tests to both of you. Is that correct?
Yes, again, I'll be working over vacation in that weekend. So they can come to me at any time or email both of us. That way it just ensures that we're all on the same page. Thank you. And if they come to me, Terry does get them, and vice versa.
Okay, great. I don't have any more questions in the chat right now, so I wonder if Mrs. O'Brien or anyone else, Mrs. DeBoer, wants to say anything we didn't cover. While they're doing that, if you have questions, please definitely throw them into the chat.
I will just share that Mr. Kapulka and I do have some grade level assemblies scheduled for this week, one with third, one with fourth, fifth, and sixth separate assemblies through Zoom, just so we can get the questions from the students. We realize that they might have some questions and some anxiety going on and wondering what the changes are going to be. So we are going to be available to them. We see them every day throughout the day, so we will follow up with questions that they may have. But we're going to start those assemblies starting tomorrow and on Thursday. So just so you're aware of that.
I also wanted to add just that, know that the bottom line is we're just there for the kids. We'll do whatever they need to make them comfortable and make you guys comfortable. And we're ready for it too. We've a lot of planning, and we can't wait to get them back, but we're here for them. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. Our new desks arrived today, so they'll even have a seat to sit in.
Yes, we did have to order a few desks and chairs at Quashnet and the Mashpee Middle High School because so many desks and chairs are used for lunch.
Yeah, I put a couple ones together last week just because we had to. So we'll do what we can and make it right and perfect. So.
And I would add, just like walking around the school, the kids are doing awesome. Your kids are just doing such a fantastic job. It has been so joyful to not only see the kids in school, but see them interacting with their masks on, social distanced, but still totally Quashnet kids. Like lunch duty is my favorite because they are really still they're amazing. They're wonderful. So I just wanted to put that out there. I am not their principal. I am like the special guest star when I do lunch duty. So it's like when the babysitter comes over basically. And, but they're happy and they're doing awesome. So I just wanted to put that out there.
They are. passionate, strong, there's no question. And they have adapted very well to this new environment. Even students that we are welcoming back in the last 2 weeks or so that haven't been in school since March 13th of last year really are acclimating so well. We very seldom need to say, put a mask on. We very seldom need to say, hand sanitize. This hand sanitizers are outside of every classroom, by the entry doors and exit doors, and they're just wonderful. So I thank all of our parents. You have trained your children so well, and it really has made a difference to keep us all safe and healthy. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, I was just going to add how we were very worried last summer, and I know a lot of families were, because we couldn't imagine having a child wear a mask during school. And when I watch the kids now, I mean, and we as well, it's become second nature. And sadly, it's second nature, but it's never been an issue for our learners. They still have a lot of fun wearing their masks. It's currently the normal that eventually we will hopefully have disappear, but I probably predict that mask wearing will go into the start of next year, maybe through Christmas. I'm not sure. So we just need to keep our guard up and our safety practices and protocols in place so that we can be all back together, because that really is an emotional boost and that helps with learning as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, one quick question came in, and maybe it's Dr. Parkinson or Stace, I don't know. There has been an increase in cases in Barnstable County. What does that mean for closing school? Well, that part I think is Mrs. DeBoer, but the increase in cases, Dr. Parkinson, do you have any thoughts on that?
You know, we were getting hopeful that the trend was down and we've leveled off and it started to go up again. And I think it just speaks to how we can't let our guard down. We just have to continue to be vigilant. You have to keep doing all the things that people know we should be doing. Keep pushing those immunizations on people who are eligible, so that we can get the body of people who are protected up, and everyone else sort of limit their exposures. And so I think it just says we're not out of the woods yet, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, and with the weather getting nice, it feels like you should be, like we were talking about how beautiful it is today out, and you feel like it should be sort of normal, but those sort of play dates and sleepovers and things like that, we really do still need to be very, very, very mindful that that things could change, things could, continue to get worse, and we don't want to have to go back to not having our kids in school. So that's my little soapbox that I'll let Mrs. DeBoer maybe take over.
The only thing I was going to add is that throughout this journey for this school year, we have always watched Mashpee's numbers. We obviously are aware of what's happening in Barnstable County, but we look at Mashpee and we're currently yellow. But even when there were times when Mashpee was red, we did not change our plan within the schools, because we try to look into, or I don't personally look into it, but Stacy and the Board of Health, they kind of know, they dig down into that data and they know more information about that. So sometimes you could have, a spiked area that doesn't necessarily flow into the school. And then other times we're going to make sure we are very aware of watching for any kind of spread within the schools. So I want you to know that we do look at those numbers, but we kind of look within our school community as well before we would make a decision. But with this new plan going in place with full-time in person and the 3-foot distancing, there could be times when a classroom might have to pivot and go remote based on whatever might have happened within that classroom with that scenario. But I'm hopeful that that's not going to happen, because I think we're going to continue to sort of message what we need our families and our staff and our students to be doing so that we can avoid that experience.
All right, so that looks like it's it for the questions. You have Stacy's email is there. You also have her phone number, you have all of that. But if you think of something that you wish you had asked, or that, that just comes to you, you can reach out to any one of us. and we will get right back to you. I won't make a joke about how the time of day that Mrs. DeBoer tends to email, because it's not very nice of me, but okay, I will. It's like 4 in the morning,
Hey, don't
but but really, we are here. We are absolutely want you to feel comfortable. So if you have a question, or you're like just feeling like a little whatever, reach out. We'd rather hear more than less, for sure. Any last thoughts?
Just thank you, and be sure to reach out with any questions.
Thank
I
you.
totally agree. We're here for you.
Thank you for all that you've done all year long, families, because you truly have been superstars that don't get the recognition that you deserve, because it's not easy to parent and teach at the same time. And among the
Thank
stressors that you feel as an adult trying to navigate your own world. So there's a lot going on, but we're going to make it. So hang in there.
Absolutely. And you do those Calm Classroom activities that I sent out on YouTube, because they'll help all of you. All right, we're going to stop
Thank you to
recording.
all of you guys, because we realize what